hand you over to George, who's going to talk about some of the gear, just so you can hear a little bit how to use it safely.
So, I suppose the first thing is just immediate. If you're going to be buying gear for human pup play, the first things I would recommend is probably the two things that you could get that are really, really good is a good pair of mitts and some form of knee protection as well, because the human body's not just like, apart from babies, the rest of us don't spend time on our knees and on our hands. So the key point with mitts is to get the padding so you've got protection of your knuckles. And that's really, really good, whether it be indoors or outdoors, because it'll stop you from getting carpet burns or it'll stop you from getting grass burns or anything like that if you're outdoors. These particular ones are from an MMA fighting store. You can use boxing gloves, and you can also get special mitts that are designed for pup play, but they have pros and cons. The pros is that it forces you to use your hands like a pup would, so you lose the use of your thumb. The con is that you lose the use of your thumb. So if something bad was to happen, you would struggle to get out of them. So this is a good compromise, so you get the protection, but you also have the thumb hold there, so you can use that.
Can I jump in here for a sec about the use of mitts and hands?
Sure.
Yeah, one of the things you'll see when somebody's going to be a human pup is immediately, if you look at the human hand here, and I'm just going to put one of these gloves on just to show you, so you can compare and contrast as to why it's a really good idea to wear a glove. Once again, like George said, these are MMA fighting gloves, just UFC fighting gloves. They cost about $40, $50 Australian, cheaper other parts of the world. Obviously, at times, I'm sure. Fingers in, around, but when I put my hands down, as a human being, I have a tendency to do this. And the problem with putting your hand down like this is, after a while, it puts a lot of tension on what part of the body, George?
Oh, so that's through, the wrist isn't designed as a weight-bearing joint. So, yeah.
You're putting too much, particularly people tend to move forward when they're a pup and lean on their upper body and put too much pressure on the wrist here. These gloves are very hard to do that. They force you to cushion and actually protect your wrist here, so you're not putting extreme weight pressure on it.
So that, like, if you've ever done boxing or anything like that, any sort of punch, they always talk about how it's really important that the wrist is lined up with the rest of your arm, because the force can then be spread up the arm into the shoulder. But if your hand is bent forward or back like that, then the forces are just going through the soft tissues of the wrist, and that's not good.
It stops carpal tunnel and all those sorts of things too.
Absolutely. There's, you've got arteries, you've got nerves, all that sort of stuff, and you need your hands. Humans need hands.
Particularly when you're going into more of the BDSM form of human pup play, that you may not have cushy surfaces of these mats. You may not have the advantage of lots of other things. You may be expected to walk on cement, get into a cage, be in a sex club or whatever. The extra protection is really important, because you don't know what the surfaces are going to be like.
And on that note, it's really good to have some sort of knee protection as well, because a lot of the weight of your body, so ultimately when people are in an all fours position, so we're talking about this, you want the weight evenly distributed between your hands and your knees, right? So the centre of gravity is about here. So with these, this is some really nice padding that you can use to protect the front of your knees. You can also get soft padded ones as well. These are great for indoors, on carpets, on linoleum or tiles or something like that. If you are going to be further outdoors though, you can get knee protection either from a hardware store or something similar, and that has a hard shell on the outside and padding on the inside. And that's very, very protective of your knees. Should there be stones or rocks or broken glass or anything like that, it's really important to look after your knees as well. Yep, just pass it over. So this here, rock hard for the outside, but lovely and soft on the inside to protect the knee. So that's really, really good. You can pick them up from a sports store. If you really want super sexy ones that are great, look for the BMX biking shin guards. They're really, really great. Or these you can pick up from a hardware store that builders use them, cementers and people like that.
And the cotton ones particularly are really excellent. You can wear your jeans, skirt, anything above them. Like, they're easy to slip on. They're basically for netball and for a lot of sports where you're moving about. Pretty simple. They go under other clothing. So they'll hold, they won't, you can sweat into them, they're no drama.
Do you want me to go on?
Please go on to talk about tails.